On August 18th, I'll celebrate 13 years of sobriety, and today I'm sharing the 13 biggest lessons I've learned along the way. Welcome back to the Sober Vibes podcast. I'm your host and sober coach, Courtney Andersen, and helping you live a kick-ass life without alcohol. You are listening to episode 236. So today we're talking about 13 years of sobriety. August 18th, I celebrate my sober anniversary, which is really, become when I quit, starting on that first year mark, one of my favorite days of the year. I like this day. I like my sober birthday better than now my regular birthday. Okay. My son's birthday is my favorite day of the year, and this comes into a close second. So I want to share with you today, just kind of like reflecting and share 13 lessons I've learned along the way, because I think that these can help, especially if you're trying to quit or you're in those first couple of years. And believe you me, when I participated in AA, that very short period of time for those first couple weeks when I got sober, and I will never forget, this man said he was like 10 years sober. And I was so riddled with anxiety at this meeting. I still remember to this day, like my jaw was almost on the ground, because it's like, how the hell am I going to do this? So if you're feeling that way as you listen to this, dude, I get it. I totally get it. It's overwhelming, especially in that beginning. But after a couple of years, let's just say this, okay? After that fifth year, really that sixth year, then it just becomes normal life. Those first 5 years are really, really, really you building a new life for yourself and getting comfortable in a world that is full of alcohol, and you getting comfortable in your own skin and on the healing journey and recovering from the years of abusing your body. That is simple facts. And those first 5 years are early sobriety, okay? But so if you're in like those first couple days, just know you can get here too. I would have, if you would have told me that in those first, those first couple years, those first couple months, that I would have 13 years of sobriety, I would have kicked you. Straight up. So if you are new here and you haven't heard my story, I'm just going to recap it a little bit. If not, you can go back to the very first episode and listen to the full report of my story. I woke up that day. I woke up on August 18th. It was like many times before in a 10-year period of alcohol, a relationship with alcohol, where I woke up and I was like, still extremely drunk, didn't know what happened. And I was told that I had lost my rescue cat, Fiona, for a second time. And my boyfriend at the time, he was not stoked. He was very pissed. And I was like, no, she's fine. A couple hours later, I fully get up and realize that my cat was really gone and we could not find her. And that my boyfriend at the time was like beyond pissed. Okay. And that evening, apparently I threatened his life, that we have a joke about now, but it wasn't really funny in those first couple of years, okay? You can't really joke with your partner about threatening their lives until years down the road. So just an FYI, if that ever comes up, if you ever want to make light of it with somebody. So at that point, he had told me, he was like, look, you can continue on with this, but I am not going to stick around. He was like, again, you choose what you want to do, but if there's alcohol involved, I'm not staying. At that point, Matt and I had lived together we had been dating for a year and a half, and I think living together at that point about a year. So I sat in a 3-day hangover. That was god awful, because there was so much shame. And there was so much shame because it really was like a 10-year, like all 10 years really truly hit me, because I felt so bad about losing sweet Fiona for a second time, and then having Matt so upset, because I know I kid a lot and I like to laugh a lot. But at that point, threatening his life, it wasn't funny in those couple days, and sitting in that hangover, dry heaving in our guest bedroom, just on the ground and not giving a rip about it, like disgusting. That is pig behavior. So I finally found Fiona after the third day, and it was like a movie. It was one of those times you'll hear a lot of people say that they had like this movie moment almost, or this moment that was so clear to them that they knew it was over. And for me, it was that when I had picked this cat up and she was so scared, she peed on me, well deserved. And, before I even found her in those 3 days, I made a pact with the universe and I said, if I find her, I'm going to quit drinking for good. Because here's the thing, I had been trying to moderate my drinking for 4 years prior to that one moment. So I had spent 10 years in a relationship with alcohol, was addicted to alcohol, did consider myself an alcoholic. And but those 4 years, it was when I hit 25, I had a moment where I was like, there's going to be a day that I have to give up drinking. I don't know when, I don't know how, but that was my gut talking to me of like, this is going to happen. Right. And then from 4 years, from 25 to 29, that was really trying to control something that I had no control over. And that is okay, because guess what? As human beings, we do not have control over everything. And I think that's the biggest problems with our people like us, people like you or me and you, and you're listening to this. It's like it's a control thing. And once alcohol hit my lips, it was like I felt that switch go off in my brain and it was like lights out. Regret my days drinking? No, because 10% of the time I actually had a really good time and I wasn't blacking out and I wasn't a pig person. And there's a lot of memories I have that drinking is associated with it and it's good. So I will never not embrace the full spectrum of it because I had some good times. And two, me not embracing those bad times, it wouldn't get me to the point of where I'm at today. So I don't pretend like it never happened. I've spent years of therapy too, of dealing with some trauma and getting to the place that I am now. But I want you to really understand that at 25, I knew it. And it wasn't like I'm going to quit drinking alcohol today. It's like, okay, let me try to put rules on this. No shots, right? Like go a couple weeks without it to prove to yourself and others like, oh, that you can function and not be an animal. But the point was that I couldn't. So when it got to August 17th, and that was the last night I was drinking, there was just no control, even though I went into that evening being like, I won't do this, I won't do that, I won't do that. Okay. And I did all of those things. And that was the fallout, right? I truly do believe that you don't know the last time that you're going to drink until it was the last time for you. I'm sure a lot of people do plan it out, which is probably a small percentage. I'm sure there's a small percentage of people who are like, okay, come December 31st, that's the last night of drinking. And then they made that happen. But I think for a large group of people, the numbers of it, that you don't know that's the last time you're going to have alcohol until it's done. And for me, that was the last time, because even though I had a bajillion episodes and quote unquote rock bottoms that were way worse, trust me, way worse than me losing, even though losing your cat is really high up there on the D-bag list. It's still, there was many worse things that I had done where that wasn't the moment. I do believe that your rock bottom moment is just it's the moment that you're just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And that is okay. So for me, it was waking up August 18th. Somebody asked me one time, they're like, do I count my sober days like the day I decide I'm not drinking? I'm like, oh no. Please do it the day after the night of drinking. And like, that is your day one. Okay. Cause I'm not giving up those 3 days that I spent in that guest bedroom where I was dry heaving on the floor. Those mattered. Okay. So, and here I am 13 years later. And the one thing that is always comes up for me, that when I reflect back and every year on August 18th, when I wake up that morning, clearly I'm recording this before August 18th, as you understand the date that it's released. But on August 18th, I will always wake up that morning and reflect back to me waking up 13 years ago and where my life used to be. Because I still, at this point of my life, and will continue, I will 100% always keep it humbled. I will humble my ass through each year, because for anybody, nobody's got it like that. And that is why I like to humble myself and remember where I came from and how I lived for 10 years, because how I live now can be easily taken away. Not saying that I don't have a need for alcohol there, but I can't, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Nobody does. So, and people can get triggered off of, life events. It's happened. We're human beings. So I like to keep myself humble, and I recommend you doing the same thing. So I've always said, especially with clients when I work with them, it's like, you have got to remember where you once were. You don't need to live in it, but you have to remember where alcohol took you. Because once you get out of that cycle and you're not drinking anymore, it's very easy to forget. And that is why I've always connected with Courtney drinking. I've always continued to reconnect with that through the years, on anniversaries, to remember where I want to go. Okay. So these are the 13 lessons I wanted to share with you today. I will link the first episode in the show notes below, and too, you can hear how the Sober Vibes podcast has evolved, because I was really nervous when I did that first episode. So the 13 lessons. Number 1, you don't need to hit rock bottom to change your life. You don't. Okay. A lot of people think that you do need like this huge rock bottom, right? I told you, I had rock bottoms before, but it wasn't until this, because it was like I was good and tired. You can start this anytime. And for a lot of people too, even if you know that this is a problem, okay, that drinking is a problem, you have got to at some point stop it before it becomes a bigger problem for you. Truly. You have, and I will share this story. I had a person reach out. We did a consult. She wanted to end up doing one-on-one coaching. She reached out, and then a couple days later had gotten a DUI. Like, that is the type of stuff that I'm talking about, because DUIs are life ruiners. They're a changer to your life, right? And whether you end up hurting somebody, hurting yourself, or then you're stuck in that court system, and then having that on your record for the rest of your life, not to mention the guilt that you would feel for it. So you've got to take the control now before it gets way, way, way worse for yourself. And it's going to get way, way, way worse for anybody. So you might think right now, like, well, it's not that bad. Well, where could it go to? Okay, because nobody who is, if you were questioning your drink, you're not listening to sober podcasts and following sober accounts if you don't have a problem. Truly, you're not, unless you're somebody who's listening because you have a loved one who has a problem, okay? But like, in reality, if you're pressing play on this today, there has been an issue, and it's okay, because alcohol is a highly addictive substance, all right? Nobody is protected from it. So stop it before it gets worse. Number 2, the first year is a total rebirth. So you need to treat yourself with grace. I can't even tell you how many times I have said this, but it's like that first year, you are a newborn baby inside, insert whatever age you are, body. So when I quit drinking, I was 29. I was like 6 weeks shy of being 30, right? So when I came out of that and entering in my 30s, I'm like, I felt like a tiny tot. I was a person where I felt like a baby, where then I had to relearn how to live, right? So, and you're becoming somebody new in yourself. right? This is a whole new identity shift as well. It's not just like, oh, Courtney quit drinking. It was like, no, Courtney quit drinking and then needed to figure out how to live without alcohol and then had to grieve her old self and then had to come into this new identity. There's a lot that goes on. So you don't need to be perfect that year. You don't need to beat yourself up if you need a effing cupcake. Eat the cupcake, okay? You don't need to beat yourself up if you're not working out yet. Like, it will all come in time. Trust me when I say that. It will come in time when you are ready to take on the next thing. Some days, especially that first year, it is like, man, I just got to breathe today and brush my teeth and watch some shows. And that is all you're going to do some days. And that is okay. You are not a machine. So be patient with yourself. Number 3, slips don't equal failure. They reveal what needs to be more, okay? And when I say that, it's really like you need to figure out with the slips. What do I need more of? Sometimes it's, dude, you can't do it all on your own. And you can't put that much pressure to do it on your own, especially with this. The more you get around people who understand it, the more it will help you. Or were you hanging out with somebody that it's just when the slip happens? I'm just giving you examples. Were you hanging out with somebody who's maybe not such a good influence on you? And everybody has those friends where it's, I get into trouble with her. Maybe I just need to take a pause for a few, right? So you really got to look at those slips as lessons and you will continue to learn from them. Hey, good people of the world, it's Courtney. And if you're in your first year or your 5th year of sobriety, let's be real. Summers can be tough, like very, very, very challenging. It took me a couple summers to finally feel comfortable. There's something about warm weather, parties, and poolside drinks that can make it feel like everybody's drinking but you. But just because drinking culture ramps up, especially during this time, doesn't mean your progress has to slow down. That's where a tool like SoberLink can help. It's a high-tech breathalyzer that helps people in recovery stay accountable, not through shame, but through structure. Scheduled daily tests let you share instant, verified results with the people who support you, so you don't have to do it alone. Worried someone might question your results? They can't, because SoberLink uses facial recognition and tamper detection, so there's no way to cheat it. Whether you're rebuilding trust or you just want that extra layer of support this summer, SoberLink is here to help you stay the course of your journey. I've witnessed people benefit from SoberLink, and I want you to be the next. Visit www.soberlink.com/sober-vibes to sign up and receive 50% off your device today. You can also check the link in the show notes below. Number 4, loneliness fades, but community must be built. So this is what I'm saying, and this is why I have these kind of back to back. No one is going to magically save you but you. So this is where, again, you saving yourself and then building a community of people around you who get it is going to be one of the most helpful things that you can do. Even if that's just if you have a girlfriend who quit drinking a couple years prior to you. You go to AA meetings, you join an online support group, like just people around who can uplift and support you. Number 5, you'll feel everything you've numbed. Oh, get ready. And I say that with love, but that's okay. You have to remember you've been numbing stuff for years with alcohol. So this is a good thing that's happening. It's coming to the surface. It means that you are a human being and you're healing. I want to tell you too, when you go through a healing process, it is very common to want to go inward and to get quiet. And you might not be interested in some of the things that you once were. And that's okay, because that's, again, part of the process. Number 6, you can be sober and it be fun. Can you believe that? I can, because I'm fun. So you really have to ditch this mindset of sober is boring. You just don't see a different side because you haven't crossed that yet. And you probably thought for a very long time that being sober was boring. I did. I did that ass. I did, where I'm like, oh, what do you do? And then it wasn't until I got into it and then had people ask me what I did for fun, where I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Because that when you're so hyper focused on something and that's all that it is about your life, then, or if you need that to go out socially and like that's how you have fun socially, you're going to be in that mindset forever. But there is plenty of fun things to do. This really does come down to mindset, and you have to keep remembering to yourself, it's like, are hangovers fun at this point anymore after 40, right? Like, is the shame cycle fun after a couple days? Like, no. Is not remembering a concert fun? It's not. These are all things that it's just like, it was a lie. Like, alcohol is one big fat liar, liar, pants on fire. But this is where you will start seeing the more sober days you do have, and the more you go out there and experience life, where you're like, oh, that was a good time, and I didn't need to drink for it. 7, triggers can change over time. So you must use your coping tools, okay? And the triggers you have at day 1 are going to be totally different than the triggers you have at like year 3. And what worked for you in year 1 with the tools might not serve you at year 5. So for me, this is why I had always, as part 2, I never, even to this day at 13 years, have always sought out help outside of myself. And that's what I recommend for anyone listening to this. Now, that help can look different. That help could look like, okay, you did AA for a couple of years and now you want to move on. Maybe you wanted to do a sober coach in the beginning and then you wanted to go explore AA. Maybe that's looking at a therapist or a life coach or group. Like, it all looks different to everybody, but continuously, I'm not saying get help for yourself every day, but in pockets of time when you need that help, explore new health options or new help options. Number 8, there's no one right way to recover. There's just not. And especially in 2025 now, there's so many options to get help. All right. So the only right way to recover is the way that works for you. So you have to choose what empowers you. And you're not doing sobriety wrong if you are not going to meetings, or if you were California sober, or if you're on antidepressants, you're not doing sobriety wrong. I am one for harm reduction. So whatever, again, works for you to get you to that point of, if your drug of choice is alcohol and that is, you're not having a good time with that anymore, then you figure out what works. You can also grab my book, because if you're in the first 30 days, or the first couple months, or trying to quit drinking, a lot of my book is set up for you to figure out what works best for you along the process. Number 9, forgiveness, self-forgiveness is key. I know it's going to take a long time, but you have to put that practice in a little each day. There's on my Sober Vibes Instagram account, there's one board that I recycle quite a bit. And I want you to use it more of as an affirmation. I forgive myself. I forgive myself for taking so long to give up alcohol. It's something like that. I'll put the quote I made in the show notes. But you have to use it like an affirmation. And even if you say it, because you get to a point in your sobriety journey where you're like, man, I wish I would have done this sooner. But that sooner version of you would not have quit. Because maybe you've tried to quit at 35, but now you're 45 and you're like, okay, I'm done. And you now have 6 months and you're just like, you go through that. That's where that's a little bit of like the grieving process, because you'll feel sad at moments where it's like, oh, especially as you get older, you realize how important time is. You start looking at time differently. When I had the dictator, like day 2, it was like the time as a whole was so different for me once I had a kid. So just know that past version of yourself wouldn't have stopped. And you stopped when it was time for you to stop. So keep forgiving yourself, okay? And two, for the actions, if there's stuff that you need to forgive yourself, work through that and you will be able to get past it. Number 10, the people who don't get it aren't your people. Bottom line, you don't need to explain anybody your healing journey. You don't need to explain anybody to why you quit drinking. If they don't get it, they don't get it. And it's not on us to make anybody get it. They get it or they don't. And the people who are like, oh, that's awesome, and are there to support you, let them support you and lean into those people. 11, rest is not laziness. It is required. Too many of us beat ourselves up for needing to take 30 minutes or an hour to recoup some energy, especially too when you get sober. You're going to start realizing what type of person you are. And when I'm talking about the introvert, extrovertness, if you're a highly sensitive person, you need more of that rest. A lot of people too, you walk a fine line of being an extrovert, introvert, okay? And so then you need to recharge yourself. Like quitting drinking because you go through that detox period and because everything is so heightened is very easy to get tired and be tired. So allow yourself that rest. I love a good rest. I love tell time. And that to me rejuvenates my soul. If you do not know what tell time is, it is you get out of the shower with your towel on your head and then you just go lay in your bed and stare up at the ceiling. Oh man, anyone else? Borderline sociopath, but it's rejuvenating and it's resting. And that is just something I love to do. I don't get it as often, but that to me, if I get 1 hour of towel time, it is like 6 months worth of rest. Truly it. And don't get on your phone. Just sit there and let yourself rest. Plus, you're coming out of the shower too, so you're in a more relaxed state. But just know you can rest. Rest is doing something and your body needs it. Your nervous system needs it. And it will also help you get more comfortable in your skin where don't feel like you need to be walking around your house all the time, or where you can finally sit down and watch a movie. Number 12, alcohol wasn't the problem. It was the solution, right? And you will understand this until you build a life you don't want to escape from. And that's the whole thing. There is a reason with alcohol. There's usually a lot more going on underneath the surface, right? Of why then we drink to begin with, right? And on the same side of that too, we drink to cope, but then it also becomes this awful habit. But there's a lot of issues that you want to bury down and drink to escape. So when you get into the sober space and start creating this new life for yourself, you are not going to want to escape from it. And that is facts. Again, you could have told me at day 30, like, you're going to want to escape from your life in 13 years? Like, no. And it takes some time to build that and to get comfortable with yourself. And it's not going to happen within those first 6 months of sobriety. So that's where you got to pull the reins a little bit and pump the brakes of you don't need to be at this certain place by 6 months. If you're not feeling good yet, that's okay. It's going to come on your timing. You can't rush it, and stop comparing yourself to others and just know you will get there. And the sobriety thing too, it's not, you don't arrive at this destination. It's like you arrive at little stations along the way of this journey. Okay. Or it's, oh, okay. And there might be something I might say in one of these podcast episodes where then 5 years down the road, you're, oh, I get what she's talking about. I remember her talking about this when I used to listen to her show early on, right? I remember this and now I can apply it and it makes sense because a lot of what I speak about, it's really speaking to you quitting and up until those 5 years. And again, I'm great. If you graduate from this podcast after 5, goodbye. I hope it helped. I don't want you listening to me forever. I don't. I want you to go out and explore new things. And I want you to take this You need it. You know what I mean? So, because I don't ever want anybody to go through that recovery burnout, because that's real. That sobriety burnout's real. And then you end up resenting people and being like, F you, and then pushing it away, and I don't ever want anybody to think of this space like that. So again, that is why I suggest listening to other podcasts. I suggest listening to other podcasts outside of the sober space, and really focus on podcasts too if you're looking more of that personal development, self-help, of stuff that you need help with. So obviously, yes, sobriety, but then if there's like an anxiety issue, then start listening about anxiety and how you can start focusing on how you can help yourself more of that, right? Number 13, you are allowed to be proud of who you become and celebrate your milestones. Celebrate it every day, even if that's just giving yourself a pat on the back, because you deserve that. And a person who doesn't have an issue with alcohol doesn't understand how hard this is. So give yourself a pat on the back. Say that you're proud of yourself, even if you are 5 years in. Like, yeah, bitch, you did this. Amazing. And keep going with it, And that's the thing. It gets to a point where it's eventually just like your default mode doesn't even go into like, I want to drink. It goes into, I need to go home and take a walk. I need to go home and get myself into bed early because I just need a good night's sleep. I need to go home and put on my red light therapy mask and read my book. I need to go home and eat a cupcake. I need to go home and drink 4 Waterloos back to back. Like it doesn't even go to, I need a drink. It just doesn't, because you just start living. And like I said, you just start to live, and not like, I'm living this sober life. It's just, I'm living, and that will happen for you. So I want to thank you all. And for me, when it comes back to thinking about that, because I was just in that thought, when I think of that, it's like my life is a complete 180. And for the Courtney who was in this addiction with alcohol, looking back at her, it makes me sad, right? Because that Courtney didn't want to live. And that former version of myself, God, I hate talking like this, but like that Courtney. But like that former version of myself, I still get sad for that girl from time to time, because there was a couple times that I didn't want to live. My drinking led me down a path of, I don't think I would be here today if I would have kept drinking alcohol. And it's not even like, now you just know people who fall and hit their heads and end up in comas and don't make it out, or people who drink and then where it completely takes over and there's no turning back for them. So I am just very, very grateful to be here with where I'm at now, and actually truly loving myself, and not to be in a place of desperation, because that's what that was for so many years, of just desperation and being stuck and not being free. And as cheesy as it sounds, that is a true freedom when you stop drinking and when you get out of that cycle. And like, once you get out of it, just stay out of it, because it is going to get so much harder for you to keep going back and then detoxing, and then a couple months later getting back, because there could be a point where you go back to drinking and you don't come back from it. And especially to the older we get, it's going to just get harder and harder. So once you stay out of it, just stay out of it and connect again. Figure out what type of help you need. You have to remember your why, that yes, it is worth living, and to give sobriety as many chances as you gave alcohol. And so that when people are like, oh, would you ever go back to drinking, or could you just have one like now? And it's like, I've thought of it, like, could I? But I'm like, no, I didn't know, because I don't even, I wouldn't even want to risk that, right? And two, I don't have it in me to do another day one. That was not a joyous time. And it's not a joyous time for anybody. I don't even care if you get the pink cloud. Once you get out of it, stay out of it, because nothing good is going to happen when you drink alcohol again. It's just going to go by quicker, and you're going to end up being like, how did I get back to this point? I've seen it. I've seen it 1,000 times. For 4 years, I tried to control something that, again, was uncontrollable. And it's just not worth it, especially too when you start feeling some good in your life. That's another topic for another day with the self-sabotage. But like, when you start feeling good, you deserve that good, and ride that out and continuing, because it's just going to get better and better and better. So thank you so much for tuning into the Sober Vibes podcast. I feel very grateful to be here and to turn 13. I truly, truly, truly do, from the bottom of my heart. And it's a good place to be, as in living life without alcohol. It's a good place to be. So again, thank you for listening. If you haven't yet, please rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Always feel free to reach out to me on Sober Vibes on my Instagram page, Sober Vibes, or you can shoot me an email. So if you're just starting out or you're somewhere in the messy middle, know this. Again, I've been where you are, and I so remember those days and understand what it feels like to be there. I get it. So if you're craving guidance, support, and tools to build your sober life, come hang with me inside the Sobriety Circle, or feel free to book a sober breakthrough session. So you don't have to do this alone. And two, there just might be something that could, inside my programs, help you more in your sober journey, or like, especially too, for my sober breakthrough sessions, to kind of get you unstuck of having somebody kind of look outside of what's been going on with why you keep going back. A lot of people, it comes down to self-sabotage. It truly does, because you don't feel like you're worth that good feeling like I was describing. So I will put the links in the show notes below. Again, thank you for listening, and keep on trucking and stay safe out there. Hey, if you're sober curious or ready to break free from the exhausting cycle of drinking, I've got something just for you. Sober Vibes, a guide to thriving in your first 3 months without alcohol, is the book that will help you navigate those early days of sobriety with confidence, clarity, and support. This isn't just another quit drinking book. It's your personal guide to building a life you actually love without alcohol. Inside, you'll find real talk, practical tips, and the mindset shifts you need to make sobriety stick. Whether you're struggling with cravings, social situations, or just trying to figure out what's next, Sober Vibes has you covered. If you're ready to take control and start thriving in your alcohol-free life today, grab your copy of Sober Vibes. You can find it now available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. Head over to my website, CourtneyRecovered.com, or you can find the link to order in the show notes below. You deserve more than just surviving. You deserve to thrive.